In today's video episode, we're gonna talk about how to get your confidence back on track. Look, if you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, you're in that period where you're really looking at your career, you're looking at your relationship, you're looking at your financial situation, you're looking at your fitness level, and you might be saying, oh, in these areas that I find important, or these areas that I deem important, and maybe I just use those areas because those are areas that I deem as important, they're not where I want to be. And what that can do is that can damper your confidence. And what you really want is you wanna get back to that peak confidence level, and you really wanna get back to performing right in those areas that you deem as completely and totally important for your life. And you might have a fear of failure. You might be fearing that you're not ever going to get back to where you were or surpass where your expectations are. So I know that's like kind of two dichotomies, because where you were, you might be thinking, man, I was this back then, but I want to get back to that now. But I always have the feeling of, when we grow and as we get older, we have a chance to be better in so many areas. So how are we gonna get our confidence back? 5 ways that I consistently tap back into that I think that is so important. Per usual, got my notepad right here that I write them down. Number 1, let me get back in focus, because we're doing this kind of vlog style. Celebrate small wins. This is so important because we can end up taking for granted things that are actually wins, things that we can actually feel good about. And some of those things, they are so small and they are so minute, but they help your confidence in a way because it's a momentum building thing. On Mondays, I always have this email that goes out to my email list, and it's called Momentum Mondays. And what I do is I write this email so that I can really help focus myself and focus everybody who's following on the small things to get you moving in the right direction so that you can gain momentum. When a snowball goes down the hill, before it becomes this massive boulder or whatever it is, it starts very small. But the small wins, when you focus on them, when you don't take those for granted, those are massive. So for me, for example, I love going to the gym. I love working out. I love doing all of that stuff. I hit those periods where I'm like, ooh, like I just kind of don't have the motivation to. And then all of a sudden I kind of see that in my physicality. I see that in my energy level. And so sometimes for me, just the small win is getting back up and being in a good mood to go to the gym. And so even no matter how the workout goes or anything, I celebrate that small win. And what it does is I'm like, oh, let me just string a few days like these together and see how I feel. So whatever it is that you're trying to improve and you're trying to get that confidence back in, look at it and celebrate the small wins. Don't take it for granted. In the past, you might have felt so confident because they were new. And so those new small wins, you were like celebrating them like crazy. Now they've just become mundane, that you've overlooked them and you're not celebrating them as much anymore. So celebrate small wins. It's gonna get you in the right direction and get that momentum moving in a correct way, in a right direction. I said that twice, but it's all good because we're doing this live. No cuts, no edits. It is what it is. Number 2, as you see right there, get the right people around you. Now, I will repeat this so many times. Who you have in your ear, what you're watching online, what you're listening to from a podcast, the conversations that you have are going to make or break who you are. I have so much confidence because my parents instilled so much confidence in me, and I realized, wow, I really like keeping those people around. And so what do? I find friends, and I've really connected with friends and other close family that are the same way, that really infuse and instill a sense of positivity in their own lives. And I'm like, when I'm around them, I'm like, oh, I want to be more like that, right? The people that I knew that I no longer associate with were the people who were more so pessimistic, were the people who, when I told ideas about the things that I wanted to do or to have, or to, you know, the area of life that I wanted to be, they were very pessimistic about it. I'm like, if I consistently heard that, then what happens is I end up believing it. If I believe that, then my life is never gonna get to an area that I really want it to go in or to be in. So the right people around you, it's just like, it just, all of a sudden, it's like you become a sponge, right? Like that feeling, that emotion, that belief, you just start to absorb it, and then all of a sudden you just feel like, hey, you can do it, right? There's a lot of things that I do that I've just realized are a byproduct of the people that I've kept around, and them just constantly motivating me, constantly speaking life into me, constantly saying the right things to me, where I'm like, oh, I didn't even believe it for myself, but you believed it for me. Because you believed it for me, I believe it for myself. So that is number 2, get the right people around you. Number 3, remember all that you've done in the past before. This is so, so important. You've done some amazing things that you might have forgotten about, and because you've forgotten about it, you're in this place where you're like, oh, I don't know how I can be this confident. I don't know. You've been confident before. You know, you have done things before that you might not have believed that you were able to do it, but you did it anyway, right? So remember those things. This is the one time I'll say looking back is so important. Looking back and seeing how far you've come from, looking back and seeing the things that you've done is so important. And it makes you realize, and when you write that laundry list out, I'm telling you, you're able able to believe in yourself in a different way. This happened to me. This was like years back. I was going through a tough breakup, and a buddy of mine, he literally sent me a list, and I was at an all-time low confidence. He sent me a list of everything that from afar he had seen me accomplish. And I screenshot that, and for like 6 months I read that, and I developed such a belief in myself again, because I was like, wait, I've done all these things. I've had these hardships. I've walked through them, and look how far I've come. So whatever is hitting right now, it pales in comparison to the things that I forgot about that I had already made it through, right? So look back at yourself in the past. Look at the things that you've already done. Look at the confidence that you've already gained as a result of those things. So don't be afraid to look back. That's the time where you definitely should look back. Number 3, get uncomfortable. I love this because what happens, I'm 34, right? And so for me, getting uncomfortable is now me getting back in front of kind of this vlog style and talking. It's been me doing the podcast. It's been me doing some of this more content stuff, because I had really focused on my career for some time after I had stopped doing the apparel company. And I was like, I'm just focusing on the career. I'm just focusing on financial gain. I'm just focusing on acquiring these things for, securing a financial future. But then that discomfort, I realized I needed to get uncomfortable again when I started losing confidence in myself. I was like, wait, so in the workplace and things like that, I am doing well, I'm killing it, things are great, but then I started losing belief in my God-given gift and ability. I love to speak, I love to have conversations, I love to get deep with people, I don't like to say be motivating. I think that I have a skill of being very consistent, and that consistency, even when I don't feel like it, I just do it anyway. But I love talking about that and how I've developed that skill over time, right? And so I stopped doing that, and I was like, wait a second, I need to get uncomfortable again. I need to reinvest in myself. I need to just put myself out there. I need to be consistent with it. So getting uncomfortable and finding something that's new for you to do, right? Because if it's new and you start getting those small wins, like point number 1, then what happens is you start to develop confidence in something that's brand new, and it inspires you. And then when you do those other things that it might be mundane things, you have a thing that's new that you enjoy doing, that you're confident in, right? That makes you feel confident. So try and do new things on a consistent basis. And number 5, what did I say number 5 right here? I didn't even write it down well, and I'm just guessing, but it is have some grace. Have some grace with yourself. You are not always going to be perfect. You're not always going to feel confident. That's okay. Have grace for you. I think that there's something that's like very wrong with what always gets pushed on social media for, I'd say, speaking as a man, men like always, being hard and grizzled and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you don't always feel like that. Sometimes you don't feel confident, but what you wanna do is you wanna have grace for yourself on the times when you don't feel confident, while doing all of the other steps to get you to feeling confident, right? Like when I'm doing something new, I have grace for myself when it's not looking perfect, but that doesn't mean I just stop and not try to attain close to perfection, because we will never be perfect. It's like doing these videos. I hope these videos now look 10 times better a year from now, right? I hope I find different keys and tricks of the trade, but right now I have grace for what I'm doing right now, and it is what it is, and that's not gonna stop me from putting out content. That's not gonna stop me from doing new things. Have grace for yourself. These things are going to help you get your confidence back in a right direction. They're not always easy. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say, oh, hey, here are the keys and they're gonna be easy. Sometimes it takes time. But if this message, please give it a like, comment, subscribe, connect with me, because I love doing this. As you see, I'm just here kind of in my kitchen with this light that didn't really work out how I wanted it to work out, but it's all good because I feel like we got some decent quality. But yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.